What do you think, guys?
We don't plant our wheat nowhere near this wide. We're on like 7.5 inch rows.
Are you really? Why is that? Is that for weed suppression or any other reasons? Or?
Get a higher density.
Yeah, higher planting density.
Usually get a little better yield.
Usually get a little better yield for us. And two, like you said, weed pressure. Trying to keep the weeds out.
Sure.
Okay, now the whole is gathering slowly, so that would be good if we get the other one. Do you want to? Yeah. We don't really thought about taking pictures. It would be nice. I appreciate that.
Go right ahead, Miss Audrey.
It's the yellow leaf spot, Robbie.
What?
Yellow leaf spot. You know what? He just, why can't you trust them?
They said they throw nitrogen to it when they get it and they'll grow through it.
Yeah, in lower rainfall we found that urea, just feeding it nutrient, combats it as well or better than a fungicide. As you get into higher rainfall areas, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. That's like with us. I was telling them back home, our biggest problem as far as like from a disease standpoint is probably head scab.
Okay,
Fusarium head blight.
cool.
Which basically our wheat is pollinating and heading in the springtime.
Yep.
So it's got real high moisture content, rain falls. By that point the wheat's at this stage, so with us planting, most people drilling on 7.5 inch rows, you got a dense canopy, so you're getting a lot of humidity, a lot of rainfall moisture.
Yeah. When you get that disease burden in your stubble, do you guys grow break crops or do you burn stubble? How do you get away from that disease?
Fungicide mostly. Fungicide and crop rotation basically.
Yeah.
The reason we have a big problem with that is it can live in the corn residue.
Yeah.
So when we're doing, we'll plant corn, then we'll go back in the fall once we harvest the corn and plant our wheat for our winter crop.
Yep, sure.
So it's harvested in the corn residue, the funguses.
Yep.
And it infects the wheat crop. It's the biggest problem in the head is what it affects is the head and the grain quality. So when, I was telling them it's pretty much, in our area, it's more so the rule than the exception.
Yeah.
For, to put on a fungicide right around flowering.
Yep, sure.
And we found that it's kind of problematic too because you've got a really short flowering window, 10 days, maybe 12 days.
Yeah.
And when you've got farmers, farming thousands of acres, it can be problematic for them to try to cover all that ground.
Sure.
But that's probably our biggest, disease problem in small grain. Because a lot of the other stuff, like mildew, powdery mildew, that kind of stuff, barley yellow dwarf virus, we've got, traits, resistance traits
Yes, sure.
bred in. So typically on most acres, that's not a problem.
And do you find yellow leaf spot or tan spot? Is that an issue?
Not really. We don't have a whole lot of problem with that. Our biggest small grain diseases, I would say, are probably the rusts.
The rusts, that was my next question.
But we do have, most of our varieties are resistant.
That's right, yeah,
so
sure.
that's not a huge problem for us.
No, that's right.
Barley yellow dwarf virus is quite, pretty high resistance level there also, so you don't have a whole lot of problem with that. Powdery mildew is probably the next biggest problem, I would say, in our small grains.
Yeah, sure.
But then again, those, most commercial, widely adapted varieties are, they're resistant with their genes, so you don't really have that big of a problem with them.
Yeah, very interesting.